I am Steve Kennedy. This is Music and Message. This is I Have Always Loved the Rain. I used to watch the western sky, see the distant heat lightning, how the hours, how they'd fly till the storm was upon me. I'd laugh in the rain, whirlwind raging around me. Through all the pain, your grace has been enough for me. I now know why I've always loved the rain. When the thunder rolls, I'm coming home again. So let the wind blow and rock away the pain. I've always loved the, always loved the, I've always loved the rain. When I came to myself, hey, I was so ashamed. Couldn't think of anything else but getting home again. I turned around, saw you running towards me, lightning flashing all around from east to west. Hey, all I could see, I now know why I've always loved the rain. When the thunder rolls, I'm coming home again. So let the wind blow and rock away the pain. I've always loved the, always loved the, hey, I've always loved the rain. Come on home, join the party. Rock the heavens till dawn. Don't miss another gathering. The love above coming home. Now know why I've always loved the rain. When the thunder rolls, I'm coming home again. So let the wind blow and rock away the pain. I've always loved them, always loved them. I've always loved the rain. I've always loved them, always loved them. Hey, I've always I've always loved the rain. I was wondering what I could do to help my hometown, people around me, and maybe bring a wider range of ages to my family practice. So I prayed about it, and later I was approached by my office manager about maybe coming in on my day off. And that meant like 80 miles of driving and a little bit of a sacrifice there. And my body's broken in pieces. I used to play college football, and I immediately started to complain about it. But obviously, this was the answer to that prayer, you know. I'd asked God to bring in more folks in my practice and bring in a younger population, and it took some sacrifice. The first day I went in to do the sports physicals was late spring after the blossoms that just were blooming on the apple trees. And I remember driving in and seeing the snow on top of, coming outside the house and seeing snow on top of the apple tree outside. And I thought, well, there goes the crop of apples in our backyard. And I was cruising down the road, and the snow was glistening and shining off of the crab apple trees. And I thought, man, it's beautiful. It's just glistening like diamonds. Just absolutely gorgeous. I've never seen anything quite like a blanket of snow on top of the trees. And then I was coming around the corner towards my work, and a blizzard of snow came, and I had to slow down because the amount of snow just blazing in my path. I couldn't see. I come around the corner just going into my workplace, and thunder roared. Just a continuous roar of thunder all the way into the parking lot. And I thought to myself, it's just like all of heaven is saying, hey, welcome home. Welcome home, buddy. Welcome home, my son. This is exactly what I wanted you to do. You said a prayer and I'm answering it. And here's the okay, wake up here. Here's the thunder to actually let you know that this is it. So I was doing the right thing. I knew I was doing the right thing. Here's a story we can all relate to. The prodigal son. Or is it the prodigal sons? You'll find them in Luke 15. It's worth a listen. A certain man had 2 sons, and the younger of them said to his father, Father, give me the portion of goods that falls to me. And he divided unto him his living. And not many days after, the younger son gathered all together and took his journey into a far country. There he wasted his substance with riotous living. And when he had spent all, there arose a great famine in that land. And he was sent out in the fields to feed swine. Now listen, that's a big deal for a Jewish boy to be out there feeding swine. That was an abomination to them. They wouldn't do that. But he was out there, and it says when he came to himself, he said, "How many hired servants does my father have? And here I am perishing from hunger. I'll rise and go to my father, and I'll say to him, Father, I've sinned against heaven and before thee, and I'm no longer to be worthy to be called your son. Make me as one of your hired servants." And he arose and came to his father. And he was a great way off. His father ran to him, had compassion on him, ran to him, and fell on his neck. And he said, and his son said to him, Father, I've sinned against heaven and in thy sight, and am no more worthy to be called thy son. But the father said to his servants, Bring forth the best robe, and put it on him, and put a ring on his hand, and shoes on his feet, and bring the fatted calf out, and kill it, and let's make merry. For my son was dead, and he's alive again. He was lost, and he's found. And they began to be merry. Now here's the other thing. The other lost boy. The elder son was in the field. And as he came up to the house, he heard the music and the dancing. And he called, and one of the servants asked, "What does all this mean?" And he said, "Your brothers come home, and thy father has killed the fatted calf because he received them safe and sound." And he was angry, and he would not go in. Therefore, his father had mercy on him too. He came out and talked to him and said, "Okay." He answered his father, "All these years I haven't done anything wrong, haven't transgressed your commandment, but this your son has wasted devoured your living on harlots, and you killed the fatted calf for him." And he said to him, "Son, you're forever with me, and all that I have is yours." And it was meat. It's what we had to do to make merry and be glad. This your brother was dead and is alive again and was lost. He was lost and now he's found. Son, just a prodigal son, the story. That story we can all relate to. Hey, remember the prodigal son was a son of the father before he left. And the son can't stay in the pig pen. He's not going to be comfortable. The son will always go back home. See, a pig is in their element in the mud. The son will eventually get out of the pig pen. And notice how the father ran to the younger son when he came to himself and turned back home. This was not the thing to do back then. Fathers wouldn't run, especially for a son that dishonored the family. But that's the love of the father. In the Old Testament, the law read that such a thing might be worthy of death. So the father is running out of love and maybe to protect the son too. How is that possible? What type of love is this? Are you a son or daughter of the Father? Now, have you heard that old story? There was another son, Jesus, who the Father did not run to save. Now, what's that all about? See, we all play the prodigal and need to come home, or maybe you don't have a relationship with the Father yet and need to get in the family. The Bible says, "There's none righteous, no, not one. All have sinned and come short of the glory of God." This son was Jesus, the very Son of God, who led a sinless life and died on the cross for my sin and your sins. And then he rose from the grave victorious over death 3 days later. For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believeth on him shall not perish but have everlasting life. So we just reach out and accept that free gift of salvation, asking him to come into our life, work in us and through us, and he forgives us of our sin. And we begin a relationship with him. Then we go to Jesus. As people, it's good to get together with somebody older and wiser than us, that knows the way. And the way out of the pig pen, and it's the way out of this world alive. You want to get out of this world alive? There you go. Have you wandered off like the prodigal? Well, it's time to turn around and go back home. There's always a party. There's always a party. What would a heavenly party look like? What would it sound like? Would there be thunder? Would there be rain? Would there be snow? Would there be light? Would there be glory? In this parable, the father killed the fatted calf and put a robe on his son's back and a ring on his finger and shooters on his feet and welcomed him back home. Have you gone back to the party and welcomed your brother back home? How many of us have, I've got a lot of the elder brother in me, I think, and they just won't go back into the party. A bit of that self-righteousness. But see, the father here goes to him too, and gently goes to that son too, and urges him back home. I got to give the elder brother some credit, though, man. He did stay at home, and maybe he was concerned that his younger brother would fall back to the pig pen or bring the pig home. Hey, if someone doesn't stand the gap and gently help those that have fallen to get back up, they just might sell off all they got back once they get back home. So help the younger brothers get back up. gently, careful that you don't fall too. Help disciple gently and so that they can come back home. And you come back home. You know, we have an apple tree out back where the blossoms were covered with snow that morning when I went to work. I just told about. I was worried that it wouldn't produce any fruit. That tree is loaded with so many apples this year that it's leaning over. In fact, it fell over. We're going to have a great harvest. There's going to be some cider this fall. So I just encourage you to make your peace with God. Get into the party. Find a local church. Get some spiritual guidance, wise counsel, a pastor, somebody who knows the way out, somebody to sponsor you back into life. We're not made to do this alone. Heaven will involve souls and that have joined in on this party of life. So join in and help show others the way home. You'll find a heavenly inheritance when it's done for His glory and for His service. You know what? Nothing grows without the rain. I started writing this song 30 years ago, folks. There has to be some storms in life. But God is not the author of fear, but of power and love and a sound mind. He's promised never to leave us or forsake us. And He won't. He's got me through the rain and the storms of life. With 10 children, I've seen suffering like Job, and some of it has been my own sin, and I've had to turn from that sin and turn around. And some of these storms have been from other people's sin. The storm raged at sea until Jonah was thrown overboard. Then the wave stopped. Jonah was told to go to Nineveh, you see, and he didn't go. He didn't serve like he should have, and he got thrown overboard. I'm tired, personally, I'm being tired of being thrown overboard in life. His grace is sufficient, and He's always been faithful to get me through. The rain falls on the just and the unjust. Remember what Jesus said about those who hear the truth and apply the truth. Therefore, everyone who hears these words of mine and puts them into practice is like a wise man who built his house on a rock. The rain came down, and the streams rose, and the winds blew and beat against that house. Yet it did not fall, because it had its foundation on a rock. But everyone who hears these words of mine and doesn't put them into practice, it's like a foolish man who built his house again on the sand. And the rain came down, and the streams rose, and the winds blew and beat against that house, and it fell with a great crash. How about weatherproofing our lives? The relationship I have with Christ has always got me through the storms, folks. My dad and I would sit on the porch with the rain gently falling, pitter-patting on that tin roof, and the maple trees out front. We'd watch as the lightning struck, counting the seconds to hear the roar of thunder, trying to figure out how far away that lightning strike was. There was something about being still, bearing witness to the power of the Most High God and the work of His creation. I honestly haven't enjoyed the storms in life, but hey, I've always loved the rain. Always love the rain. When the thunder rolls, I'm coming home again. Let the wind blow and rock away the pain. I've always loved them. Always loved them. I've always loved the rain. I've always loved them. I've always loved them. I've always loved message. And this is it. I've always loved the rain. Have a wonderful week.